Everyone knows Medusa as the monster with snakes for hair. That terrible creature who turned people to stone with just one look. But have you ever stopped to wonder who she was before that happened? Because the truth is, Medusa wasn't born a monster. In fact, she was one of the most extraordinary women of antiquity. A real person, with dreams, aspirations, and a story that will completely surprise you. And today you're going to meet the real Medusa. The woman who existed before the legend. The person behind the myth that everyone knows. And I guarantee it will be completely different from what you imagine. If you stay until the end of this journey, give it a like. It will help me bring more incredible stories like this one. To understand who Medusa was, we need to start from the beginning. She was born into a family that wasn't exactly ordinary. Medusa was the daughter of Perseus and Ceto, primordial sea gods, ancient deities who ruled the mysteries and dangers of the deep sea. These weren't young Olympian gods, they were ancestral forces, older than Zeus himself. She had two sisters, Steno, whose name means the strong one, and Euryale, the far-leaping one. Together, they were known as the three Gorgon sisters. But there was something very special about Medusa. She was the only mortal among the three. Her sisters were immortal, endowed with divine powers from birth. Medusa, on the other hand, Medusa was human, and that made her unique, vulnerable, and special. From a very young age, Medusa showed a special connection to the divine. When playing with her sisters, she always chose to portray Athena, the goddess of wisdom and war. It was as if, from childhood, she already knew what her destiny would be. As Medusa grew up, her beauty became indescribable. It wasn't just a pretty face. It was a beauty that seemed genuinely divine, as if the gods themselves had sculpted every feature of hers. Her golden hair was considered her most dazzling characteristic. Ancient poets described it as more wonderful than all her other charms. They were strands that seemed to capture sunlight and reflect it like liquid gold. That hair was so magnificent that it rivaled Athena's own hair. And this, in a culture where the beauty of the gods was considered unsurpassable, was an extraordinary compliment. Travelers from all over the Mediterranean world made specific pilgrimages just to glimpse Medusa. Merchants altered their trade routes. Nobles cancelled important commitments. But there was something even more special about Medusa than her physical beauty. She had a magnetic presence, an aura that made people feel elevated. As if being near her was being near the sacred. And perhaps that was exactly what she was. Medusa didn't let all that admiration divert her from her true dream: to serve Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and just war. Becoming a priestess of Athena wasn't something simple. It required not only devotion, but also purity of spirit, knowledge of sacred rituals, and a commitment that would last a lifetime. Medusa studied the sacred hymns, learned the ancient rituals, memorized the genealogies of the gods. She prepared not only with her heart, but with her mind. Something that Athena, goddess of wisdom, surely appreciated. And when she was finally accepted as a priestess, she made the most sacred vows a woman could make in ancient Greece. Vows of chastity, dedicating her entire life to the service of the goddess. These vows weren't just words. For Medusa, they were a commitment of the soul. As a dedicated priestess, Medusa had responsibilities that went far beyond what most people imagine. Every day, at the first ray of sunrise, she opened the heavy doors of Athena's temple. This was a sacred moment, the temple awakening to receive the faithful. She lit special incense, made with precious resins that came from distant lands. The aroma rose to the heavens like a visible prayer. Medusa was the keeper of the temple keys, a powerful symbol of her authority and responsibility. These keys represented not only physical access, but spiritual. She was literally the guardian of the sacred. One of her most special functions was caring for the temple's sacred snake. This ancient serpent was considered a manifestation of Athena herself. Every month, Medusa left carefully prepared honey cakes for the creature. When the snake didn't eat the cakes, it was considered a terrible omen. It meant that Athena had abandoned the city. The responsibility on Medusa's shoulders was immense. She also cared for Athena's sacred statue, cleaning it with special oils, adorning it with peplos woven by the city's most skilled women. Medusa quickly became known as the most coveted priestess in Athena's temple. This wasn't just about her beauty, it was about her competence, her devotion, her spiritual presence. She led religious processions through the streets of Athens, carrying sacred objects, singing ancient hymns that echoed through the mountains. During festivals, she officiated complex sacrifices, following rituals that had been passed down from generation to generation of priestesses. People came from distant cities not just to see her, but to receive her spiritual guidance. Nobles consulted her on important matters. Young women sought her out as a life example. And even so, even with all this admiration, Medusa remained humble. Many courted her, including powerful men, influential nobles, and they say even other gods were interested in her. But she rejected them all, not out of arrogance or disdain, but out of genuine devotion to her sacred vows. For Medusa, serving Athena wasn't just a profession, it was a calling of the soul. Imagine the extraordinary life that Medusa had built for herself. She was beautiful, but not vain. Powerful, but not arrogant. Admired, but remained focused on her purpose. She lived in the most important temple in Athens, serving the most respected goddess of the Greek pantheon. In a society where women rarely had their own authority, Medusa had genuine spiritual authority. She was independent, dedicated, respected by men and women equally. The name, Medusa, in ancient Greek means guardian and protector. And that was exactly what she was, a protector of the sacred, a guardian of ancient mysteries. She was a woman who had found her perfect place in the world. Who knew exactly who she was, what her purpose was, and how she wanted to live her life. A woman in complete harmony with her faith, with her goddess, with herself. She was, in many ways, the ideal woman of ancient Greece, beautiful, wise, devout, strong. She was a woman who represented the best of humanity. That was Medusa before becoming the legend we all know. Not a monster, but an extraordinary woman. Not a creature of terror, but a respected and beloved priestess. A woman of divine beauty, unwavering faith, and sacred purpose. A woman who dedicated her life to what she believed was right and just. A woman who represented purity, dedication, wisdom. A woman who deserved protection, respect, love. A woman who had built a perfect life based on devotion and service to others. If you're curious to know how this incredible woman transformed into the dark legend we know, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The next part of this story will shock you and make you question everything you think about justice and injustice. Because what happened to Medusa changed not only her life, but the way we look at power, at guilt, and at the consequences of being a woman in a world ruled by male gods. And this story is just beginning.